They claimed the dangerous alien beast must be sacrificed, but the human fed and cared for it. Roles and responsibilities. They created art using natural pigments and their own bioluminescent displays, telling stories in light and sound. They used tools for hunting and building elaborate shelters. They had concepts of justice, fairness, and grief. Most importantly, they had culture. They taught their young not just survival skills but history, passing down knowledge through generations. They had ceremonies for important life events. They mourned their dead and celebrated births. Sarah documented everything, working 18-hour days to capture the richness of Vraxian civilization. Dr. Webb joined them via remote connection, his excitement palpable as he analyzed the linguistic complexity of Vraxian communication. Commander Thrace, initially skeptical, became one of their strongest advocates after witnessing a Vraxian elder settle a dispute between two younger members, using what could only be called legal reasoning. On day 87, Sarah sat with Kale on a cliff overlooking the valley where the Vraxian Circle made their home. The sun was setting. Vrax Prime had a binary star system, creating spectacular twilights that lasted for hours. Kale stays here, Sarah asked through their communication system. When research ends, Kale stays with Circle. Distance does not break pack bonds. Sarah Friend changed everything, Kale communicated. Sarah Friend saw person, not beast. Sarah Friend fought for Kale when others wanted death. Sarah Friend taught Kale that humans can be good pack. You taught me that fear isn't a good reason to destroy something we don't understand. That patience and compassion can bridge any gap, even between species. Kale responded, and the young one carefully placed a gift at Sarah's feet, a polished stone with natural bioluminescent crystal structures embedded in it, glowing softly in the twilight. Gift memory, Kale translated. Young one says, remember us. Remember that different pack can be true pack. 6 months after leaving Vrax Prime, Sarah stood before the Galactic Council once again. This time, she wasn't alone. Holographic representations of the research team surrounded her, and most importantly, live footage from Vrax Prime showed Kale and the Circle going about their daily lives. The evidence was irrefutable. The vote was unanimous. Vraxians were officially classified as sapient beings, granted full protection under galactic law. Vrax Prime became a protected world, open only to carefully managed cultural exchange programs. But Sarah's work wasn't done. She'd founded an organization dedicated to preventing what had almost happened to Kale from happening to others. The Institute for Xenosapient Recognition worked across human space, advocating for careful, respectful first contact protocols, and fighting against the assumption that alien life was animal rather than person. On the wall of her office hung the glowing stone from the young Vraxian, a constant reminder of what she'd learned. That compassion could change the world, that one person caring could make all the difference, and that family wasn't limited by biology but was built through trust, respect, and love. And late at night, when the station was quiet, Sarah would activate her communication link to Vrax Prime. Across the light years, Kale's bioluminescent patterns would appear on her screen, pulsing with colors that meant, pack though different, always pack, always family. They were found in fear, prejudice, and the unwillingness to see beyond our own assumptions. But the cure for those beasts was simple: care for what others called dangerous, feed what others would starve, and protect what others would destroy. And in doing so, transform the galaxy itself. Commander Thrace's office was cold and clean. Sarah stood in front of his desk. She was not military, but she tried to show respect. The situation needed it. You broke 3 safety rules, Thrace said. His voice was calm but dangerous. You entered a restricted area without permission. You turned off security systems. You went near a hostile creature. Dr. Chen, I could arrest you. You are the best alien expert we have in 3 sectors. I need you. But this stops now. The creature dies tomorrow at 8 in the morning. You have 18 hours to finish your reports. It has not eaten since last night. I checked with the handlers. They tried 3 times to give food through the machines. It refuses everything. I am telling you that the creature understood something changed. It knows what is coming. Sarah showed him data on her tablet. Several screens appeared in the air between them. Look at these readings. Stress chemicals in its body are very high. Heart rate has dropped. Brain activity shows higher thinking. Maybe what we would call worry or fear of death. This being knows it will be killed. It has chosen to refuse food. If I can prove it has real intelligence like a person, the council will have to stop the execution. Galaxy law says we cannot kill intelligent beings except for specific legal reasons. We just assumed it was an animal. Give me 1 day. If I cannot prove it thinks like a person, then, Sarah's voice broke slightly, then you can do what you planned. If it attacks you, if there is any aggression, my people will kill it right away. You will wear full monitoring equipment always. And doctor, your career depends on this. If you fail, if anyone gets hurt, you will never work in alien biology again. She studied everything known about Vraxian biology. She watched videos of the creature's behavior. She put together communication tools that had worked with other newly discovered species. The Vraxian lay in the corner. Its head rested on its front legs. When the door opened, it lifted its head but did not stand. Sarah felt sad seeing how defeated it looked. The glowing patterns on its scales were weak and barely visible. "Hey there," Sarah said softly. "I brought you something." She had loaded it with images and videos from Vrax Prime, the creature's home planet, vast forests with strange spiral trees, purple skies filled with glowing flying creatures, and most important, other Vraxians. The effect was immediate. The creature's head lifted fully. All 4 eyes opened wide. Its crystal mane moved slightly as it watched footage of a Vraxian family moving through forest plants. Young ones, smaller with bigger paws and brighter colors, played and tumbled while adults watched. A sound came from the creature. Something between a chirp and a low whistle. On Sarah's tablet, translation programs began working hard to find patterns in the sounds. "I know you miss home," Sarah said. She moved closer slowly and sat on the floor. From her bag, she pulled out fresh food. Not processed rations, but something closer to what it might have eaten on its planet. A small animal from the station's ecosystem lab, similar to what Vraxians hunted based on previous stomach content studies. The Vraxian's nose moved, smelling the air. It looked at the food, then at Sarah, then back at the food. The intelligence in those amber eyes was clear. "I am trying to help you," Sarah continued. "I need you to help me back. I need you to show them you are not just an animal. That you are a person." "Circle," she said clearly. Then she touched the image and it glowed with light. The Vraxian watched closely. Sarah did it again with the square, then the triangle. Each time the shape glowed when touched. Then she gestured to the Vraxian, inviting it to try. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with movements that seemed hesitant, the creature stretched out one huge front leg. Its claws, which could cut through metal, moved with surprising gentleness. It touched the holographic circle. The shape glowed with light. The Vraxian made another sound. This one was clearly excited. It touched the square, then the triangle. Each time, the shapes responded. The creature's mane spread fully now. Crystal feathers caught the light and created rainbow colors around its head. Sarah felt tears on her face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, that is it. You understand. You are learning." When Sarah introduced a memory game, touched the shapes in the same order she did, the creature mastered it within 15 minutes. The tablet buzzed. A message from the observation team. Unprecedented cognitive response. Recommend continuation. "Let us show them who you really are," she said. "Let us save your life." Holographic displays floated everywhere, showing symbols, images, and simple animations. The Vraxian moved between them with growing confidence. Its movements were no longer defensive but curious and engaged. Dr. Marcus Webb, the station's chief language expert, joined the observation team. His holographic image appeared in the corner of the chamber, projected from the control room. "This is remarkable," he said with genuine wonder. "Sarah, what you are documenting here will change alien biology protocols across all human space." The Vraxian lay nearby, close enough that she could feel warmth coming from its massive body. They had been working for hours. The creature had never once shown aggression toward her. "The pattern recognition scores are incredible," Marcus continued. "It is not just copying. It understands abstract ideas. Look at this." He pulled up a test sequence from an hour ago. Sarah had shown the creature images of various objects and their matching symbols. Then she introduced new objects and asked it to match them to correct symbols based on category. The Vraxian scored 93% accuracy. Tool use, abstract thinking, symbolic communication, social complexity. It checks every box for intelligent being classification, Marcus said. "I am submitting my report to the Council immediately." "There is no way they can proceed with the execution now." "How long until they review it?" "I will mark it urgent and send it through every fast channel I can access." "But Sarah, even with everything we documented, the families of the people it killed are demanding justice. This is not just a science question anymore. It is political." Its mane stayed relaxed and open. These were signs of contentment based on what little they knew of Vraxian body language. "You need a name," Sarah said suddenly. The Vraxian's head turned toward her, all four eyes focused with that intense look. Sarah had stopped finding it threatening hours ago. Now it just felt like being truly seen. She pulled up a new program on her tablet. "Names are important. They make you a person, not just a specimen." She projected the symbol she had been using to represent the Vraxian. A simple star-like shape. Then she touched her chest and spoke clearly, "Sarah." The creature made a sound, a complex series of chirps and whistles that Sarah's translation programs could not quite understand. It pressed one claw gently against its own chest, then touched the star symbol on the holographic display. "That is your symbol," Sarah confirmed. "But what do I call you?" It made that same complex sound again, more insistent this time. Sarah played the sound back through her tablet's speakers. The programs broke it down into parts. The closest human sound came out as Kale Roman 9 Thren, but that seemed too complicated for easy use. "Kale," Sarah said, making it simpler, "is that close?" In less than a day, she had gone from seeing a dangerous animal to knowing a person. "Okay, Kale," she whispered, "let us make sure you get to go home." The emergency council meeting started at 2 in the morning. Sarah stood in the briefing room, exhausted and running on pure determination. Holographic representations of council members from 6 different stations and planets surrounded her in a half-circle. Commander Thrace stood to her right, his expression carefully neutral. Council Chair Amira Okonkwo, a stern woman with decades of diplomatic experience, spoke first. "Dr. Chen, we have reviewed your preliminary findings. While impressive, they do not change the fact that this creature killed 3 people and severely injured 2 others. If someone tried to do that to a human, we would call it kidnapping. We would say they had the right to defend themselves. Humans have established legal rights. This creature has none. We did not treat it as a potential person. We treated it as a specimen. And now we are going to kill it because it reacted to our violation of its freedom. 12 hours ago, this being could not communicate with us. Now it can use symbolic language, understand abstract concepts, show emotional intelligence, and express individual identity. It even named itself. How much more proof do you need? Dr. Chen, the Council acknowledges your findings. However, We cannot simply overturn an execution order based on one day's data. We are prepared to offer a compromise. The creature's execution will be postponed for 90 days. During that time, you will continue your research under strict supervision. If you can maintain consistent evidence of intelligence, and if the creature demonstrates no further aggressive behavior, we will consider full reclassification. That is not much better than execution. 90 days would not get Kale home, but 90 days was life, and life meant hope. "We accept," she said quietly. "Thank you, Chair Okonkwo. I know it is not what you wanted, but it is more than I expected you would get. Use the time wisely." And somehow, she would find a path to send Kale home. Day 43 of the reprieve, and Sarah's world had narrowed to the holding chamber, her research notes, and the growing relationship with Kale. She had moved a cot into the observation corridor, sleeping there most nights so she could maximize their working time together. The station's counselor had expressed concern about her emotional attachment to her research subject, but Sarah had politely ignored the warning. How could you not become attached to someone you spoke with every day? Someone who learned your language, shared their fears, and trusted you with their vulnerability. Kale's communication skills had advanced remarkably. Using a combination of symbolic language, holographic interfaces, and simple physical gestures, they could now have basic conversations. Kale had explained, through patient hours of building mutual understanding, what had happened during the attacks. The handlers had separated Kale from others of its kind during capture. Vraxians were social creatures who lived in family groups called circles. Being isolated had been traumatic enough. Then the handlers had tried to forcibly sedate Kale for transport, using techniques that, to a Vraxian, resembled predatory attack patterns. Kale had fought back, believing it was about to be killed. Defense, Kale had communicated through the symbols they had developed. Fear. Pack loss, grief. Being forcibly separated caused actual physical pain, something like losing a limb in human terms. Sarah had documented everything and submitted it to the council. The response had been frustratingly slow. Under review. Continue research protocols. Holographic projections showed Vrax's prime sky and landscape, creating the illusion of being somewhere other than a prison cell. Home longing, Kale communicated, touching a sequence of symbols. The translation programs had improved dramatically, helped by Sarah's growing understanding of Vraxian thinking patterns. "I know," Sarah said softly. She had learned that Kale understood spoken English even if making human sounds was physically impossible. "I am trying, Kale. I am trying so hard to get you back there." Kale's way of saying "I understand" or "I trust you." "Sarah, I hope this message reaches you in time. I have been doing some research into the Council's procedures for intelligence classification. There is a problem. Even with all your evidence, they are unlikely to grant full reclassification. The legal precedent requires evidence from multiple specimens of a species, not just one individual. They will argue that Kale could be an exception, that you cannot prove intelligence for the entire Vraxian species from a single case study." "I am so sorry." Sarah friend sad. Kale's symbols appeared on the holographic display. Sarah looked up at the Vraxian who had become so much more than a research subject. Kale had become her friend, her companion, a person she cared about deeply. The thought of losing that, of watching Kale be executed despite everything they had shared. "I do not know how to save you," Sarah whispered. "I thought proof of intelligence would be enough, but they are going to say you are just one exception. They are going to say we need more evidence from more of your people, and we do not have that. I do not know what to do." It could have killed Sarah easily at any moment over the past 43 days. Instead, it lowered its great head and pressed its forehead against Sarah's, the gesture they had developed as their deepest sign of trust and affection. Colors rippled across Kale's scales. purples and blues and silvers in patterns Sarah had learned to read, determination, acceptance, hope, and underneath it all, something Sarah could only interpret as love. Not romantic love, but the love between friends who had found each other in impossible circumstances. Not give up, Kale communicated. Sarah friend not give up, Kale not give up. The idea came to her at 3 in the morning, jolting her awake from an uncomfortable sleep on her cot. Sarah sat up, mind racing. If the council needed evidence from multiple Vraxians, there was only one way to get it. They had to go to Vrax Prime. She spent the next 6 hours drafting a proposal that was equal parts scientific paper and desperate plea. The argument was simple. The only way to properly evaluate Vraxian intelligence was to study them in their natural habitat, in their social structures. Kale could serve as their translator, their bridge to understanding Vraxian culture and communication. It was dangerous. Vrax Prime was a restricted world, limited contact allowed only through authorized survey teams, but it was also their only chance. Sarah submitted the proposal through every channel she could access. Then she returned to the holding chamber and told Kale what she had done. Home return possible. Kale's symbols carried desperate hope. Maybe, Sarah said, if they approve my proposal, you could go home. And I would come with you. We would study your people together, show the council that Vraxians are intelligent. All of you, not just you. Might attack. That humans can be friends, not enemies. Sarah friend and Kale together. Show all humans and Vraxians can be friends. The council's response came on day 58. Sarah had stopped sleeping entirely, running on coffee and anxiety. When her tablet chimed with the official message, her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. Proposal approved conditionally. Research team will travel to Vrax Prime for a 90-day study period. Dr. Chen will lead, with Commander Thrace providing security oversight. Subject Kale will be released into natural habitat under monitoring. Final intelligence classification will be determined based on field research results. Then she ran to the holding chamber, burst through the doors, and shouted, "Kale, we are going home. We are taking you home." But Sarah just laughed, tears streaming down her face, as Kale's glowing patterns exploded in every color imaginable. They had done it. Against all odds, they had found a way forward. The transport ship broke through Vrax Prime's atmosphere 37 days after they had left the station. Sarah pressed her face against the viewport, drinking in the sight of the world below. Purple and green forests stretched across vast continents. Mountain ranges glowed with natural light. Massive rivers wound like silver threads through terrain that looked both alien and hauntingly beautiful. Beside her, Kale made a sound Sarah had never heard before. A high, keening cry that spoke of longing satisfied, of return, of home finally within reach. "Almost there," Sarah whispered, touching Kale's shoulder. The gesture had become natural between them, as easy as breathing. Commander Thrace stood at the ship's controls, his expression professionally neutral but his eyes showing something that might have been approval. Over the past month of preparation, he had gone from viewing Kale as a dangerous animal to treating the Vraxian as a member of their team. He had even learned some of the symbolic communication they used. "Landing site is secure," Thrace announced. "Setting down in the Northern Valley region. According to orbital scans, there is a Vraxian population approximately 15 kilometers from our landing zone. We will establish base camp first, then begin careful approach protocols." When the external sensors confirmed the atmosphere was safe and the cargo ramp began to lower, Kale moved toward it with visible eagerness. Sarah followed, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The ramp opened onto a world of wonders. The air smelled of something like cinnamon mixed with rain. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth standard, making each step feel slightly bouncy. And the sounds. chirps and whistles, and calls that Sarah now recognized as Vraxian communication patterns, coming from the forest all around them. Kale stepped onto the soil of home for the first time in over a year. The Vraxian stood perfectly still for a long moment, all four eyes closed, breathing deeply. Then Kale's glowing patterns exploded in a cascade of colors so bright they lit up the immediate area like a beacon. Answering calls came from the forest. Sarah's translation programs went into overdrive, trying to parse the complexity of what she was hearing. It was not just communication. It was song, layered and harmonized, multiple voices creating patterns of sound that had meaning beyond simple words. "They are welcoming," Kale communicated through the portable holographic projector they had brought. "They ask who's stranger. Kale tells, friend human, teacher helper, pack though different." In Vraxian culture, that was one of the highest honors, acknowledging someone as family despite biological differences. Movement in the trees. 3 Vraxians emerged from the forest, moving with the same powerful grace Sarah knew from Kale. 2 adults and 1 juvenile, its scales brighter and mane less developed. The younger one hung back, clearly wary, while the adults approached cautiously. Kale moved forward, making a series of sounds and visual displays with the glowing patterns. The adults responded, their own patterns pulsing and shifting. Sarah watched the exchange with fascination, her recording equipment capturing every detail. The conversation went on for several minutes. Then one of the adults, larger than Kale with scars that spoke of age and experience, turned to look directly at Sarah. Sarah forced herself to remain calm, to keep her body language open and non-threatening. She touched her chest. "Sarah," she said clearly. Then she pointed to Kale and used the Vraxian's name. The adult made a rumbling sound. Its mane flared slightly. Not aggressive, Sarah noted, but curious. It approached slowly, closing the distance until it stood directly before her. This close, Sarah could see the incredible detail of its scales, the way light refracted through the crystalline structures of its mane. The Vraxian reached out one massive paw. Sarah, remembering what Kale had taught her, extended her hand. The paw engulfed her hand completely, warm and surprisingly gentle. The creature's 4 eyes studied her with obvious intelligence, and Sarah felt the same sense of being truly seen that she had experienced with Kale. "Welcome, strange pack," Kale translated. The elder Vraxian had just granted Sarah provisional acceptance. The next 60 days were the most intense of Sarah's life. The research team established protocols for careful interaction with the Vraxian population. With Kale as translator and advocate, they slowly built relationships with the local circle. 37 individuals ranging from elders to juveniles. The evidence for intelligence became overwhelming. Vraxians had complex social structures with distinct roles and responsibilities. They created art using natural pigments and their own glowing displays, telling stories in light and sound. They used tools for hunting and building elaborate shelters.